going on, dudes and dudettes? So right off the top, we have Melvin Ingram, the star defensive end for the Chargers. Looks like he's going to be out a couple more weeks. So of course, more injury news to report. Even some more injury news to report a little bit later in this video. I can't believe how this crap happens so much to the Chargers. It's ridiculous. That's why I said it's a tough thing to be a fan of that team and root for them when such tragedies like this happen with them, and they expect a next man up mentality, but pretty soon there probably won't be any more next man up, and they don't make trades, they don't sign really great players off the practice squad or right off the street that are still free agents. So I'm a little bit worried, but just have to wait and see what they do. I am working on something that at least will get them some help in certain positions of need, but I don't know, they never listen to me anyways, but it might be a fun thing to do, so maybe I'll continue with that video or not. Then quarterback, well, the sort of starting quarterback, Kedon Slovis, the freshman for USC, is finally cleared to practice this week. Even though USC does not have a game this week, it's still positive news, so he can most likely start and be ready for Notre Dame next weekend. And hopefully that gives him enough time to be able to handle all that punishment in a top 10 team in Notre Dame, and hopefully pull off an upset. So all we could hope for, or at least keep it close, don't get blown out like how they've done in the past. Then the Anaheim Ducks had their first game last night, and luckily they beat the Phoenix Coyotes 2-1. That's really good to get the first win of the season right off the bat, and actually pretty surprising since everybody thought the Ducks were going to be horrible this year, but luckily they got the W. I'm happy about that, and we'll just see how this goes, and hopefully it could be some momentum to get them back into the playoffs and maybe make some trades throughout the season. You never know. Then some other big hockey news, that Green Day, of course everybody thinks Green Day is always going away, but of course they're coming back with a new record, most likely coming out next year. But they're also going to be playing the halftime show at the NHL All-Star Game at some time, maybe in February or March. I don't know exactly when that happens, but that'll be pretty cool to see. And they'll probably be playing a new song or two there, which is pretty awesome. Can't wait for that. Good to at least know that they have a new record coming out, even though it will be the last one on that whatever label that they've been on, Reprise, for so long, like 20 some odd years. And I think with the way the first single sounded, it's kind of like an FU, in my opinion, to that record label, because they've been wanting to get off of that and become their own thing and release their own music themselves. And the song is okay after like a few listens, but it isn't typical Green Day, and I'm pretty sure they're just gonna put out their crappiest stuff just to get off that record label and finally be doing their own thing. So happy for them about that. Hopefully they get back to some of the good shizzle. Then also California Governor Newsom signed that bill to allow student athletes to get paid for their likeness in 2023. So obviously we'll see how that goes. It's a couple more years, see what the NCAA is going to do, whether they're going to fall and start paying these guys normally, guys and girls in all sports, or they're going to let them do their own thing and get, local commercials, get paid for that, or local autograph signings and do that as well. So it could be very interesting. I know the state of New York and Florida have also proposed something to happen even sooner than that, so we'll see how this goes, and at least it's a positive direction to at least getting a NCAA football video game back in our hands, people. Quick Duke and Laker news. So new array of Puma athletes for their shoes. They include Duke players like RJ Barrett and Marvin Bagley III, but they also included Kyle Kuzma, who recently signed with them this week, of the Lakers. Pretty cool. And they've always been around Puma, but I never really liked their normal type of tennis shoes. But a lot of these athletes are starting to go there because they're obviously giving them a lot of money to do it. So we'll see how it goes, see what kind of designs they come out. I don't really like basketball shoes really because they're just too big and wide. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, it can be beneficial for all those guys related to the teams I like. Then also, you see right there the New Orleans Pelicans Duke team, basically. Those 5 guys all right there. Zion Williamson, Frank Jackson, Jahlil Okafor, Brandon Ingram, and JJ Redick. The main guy, the main reason why I like Duke in the first place after so many years. And also their GM is also from Duke as well. So maybe they might make some more trades to get some more Duke guys in there. You never know. Should be very interesting to see how that team does, especially with a bunch of ex-Lakers, including Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball, who somehow all of a sudden changes his jump shot and is actually looking a lot better instead of all crappy like how it used to be the past couple years in LA. I don't know, just the retarded people that Magic Johnson still believes is the correct choice for the Lakers at the time when obviously it wasn't. But coming out of Lakers camp right now, the earlier practices before the preseason games start this weekend is that Avery Bradley, the signing from Memphis, is actually looking pretty good, a really good standout player, especially on the defensive side. And we already know he can be some pretty good athleticism on the offensive side and have somewhat of a jumper. But he was really well known for defense, especially coming out of Texas, which was like why I knew about him, because you always got to look at those Texas guys to make sure, you know, they're not on your team. But of course he had to go to the Celtics when he got drafted there first and had to deal with him while he was there. But obviously I'm glad he's on our team now with something to prove, and hopefully with a defensive-minded coach like Vogel, it'll help him out. Especially the pairing of Vogel and Anthony Davis is what they're talking about, is like a really good and positive thing. It could be for the next couple years. It could be. But if LeBron is still there, you already know LeBron is the next coach mentality type of guy. And obviously the person he probably prefers is Jason Kidd, who's an assistant on the team. But if it's LeBron's way, then Vogel will probably be out within the next year or two, which sucks because most likely LeBron won't even be on the team by then because the weird way his contract works out. But hopefully that does not happen, and I hope Vogel can have some success this first year so he doesn't get on the freaking firing by the next season. So hopefully that all works out, and hopefully LeBron doesn't kill this coach either. So a little bit of USC football news. So the word came out that the regular starting quarterback JT Daniels barely had surgery on his knee with the torn ACL like a month after it happened, which is kind of crazy. I know a couple weeks ago the coach was talking about that they needed the swelling to go down a bit. That's why he wasn't traveling with the team or doing any stuff like that, because I guess in higher elevation that can make that thing type of like really worse. So I can understand that, but I don't really understand why it took so long for them to actually have the surgery. So I wonder if that like pushes back his return time even more, which is usually 9 to 12 months. So he might not even be ready for fall camp, which will kind of suck. But he is saying that he's going to be working tirelessly in the rehab process to try to get back as soon as possible and as healthy as possible. But dude, honestly, just take your time, because there's already at least one quarterback that'll be there next year. I don't know if Matt Fink, who's played in 2 games so far this year, will actually return, because he was thinking about transferring over the summer, and you never know. If he knows he's probably going to be third string when JT Daniels returns, and he'll probably just use his remaining 1 year of college to play football somewhere else. And then USC stuck with only 2 guys and 1 guy on a bum knee who we don't know officially if it's 100% healthy or not. So we'll have to wait and see, and hopefully he does make a speedy recovery. Don't do anything illegal. Don't take no steroids or enhancements. Just do it all natural, buddy. Then also some other USC news, which I thought was great, in that picture of showing coaches on the hot seat after a couple years at their position. They not only have Clay Helton there, the USC head coach, but also Jeremy Pruitt the Tennessee head coach, who I've been wanting USC to get the past couple years, even before he went to Tennessee, when he was a D coordinator at Alabama. And I don't know, it's a perfect storm for me, because if he's on the hot seat, that means he'll be available at the end of this season, even though their athletic director says he's not going to move on from him that quickly. But it doesn't really matter whether coaches get fired or not, because they can automatically sign a new contract with any team, even after 1 year, from what I've seen the past couple years. So if USC does become available and they just put all their chips in on that guy, I really think it can be a positive influence, not only in terms of wins and dominance for USC, especially on the defensive side, but also getting the better type of recruits that you need, whether it's all of SoCal or along the southeastern part of the US also, where he's pretty good at recruiting as well. So definitely a big benefit to have him as a head coach, in my opinion. Then also other bit of USC news comes out where they did a report about the offensive coordinator, Graham Harrell, where a lot of these quarterbacks have been flourishing and having positive outcomes in games while in his offensive system, which is not crazy, just because he did that even at North Texas. They were probably like top 10 in the whole entire country when it came to offense. They weren't great when it came to winning games and competing in those games. But same thing, I guess, can go for USC, where USC should be dominant on both sides, whether defensive line or offensive line. So they should be able to run whenever they want to when they're on offense. And they kind of have. They're averaging, I think, north of 150 yards per game, with them using about 3 backs, which is pretty good. But I just don't understand why they can't control the game more and move the ball down the field and get at least into scoring opportunities, whether it's field goals or in for touchdowns. They just haven't been able to do that. But they've also made some careless mistakes on defense and allowing a certain number of big plays or turnovers happen that they probably shouldn't have, and not capitalizing on those games, on those turnovers that they got, especially in that Washington game that was pretty close if they converted on a turnover or so. But just have to wait and see. I hope he does stick around, whether Heltland is there or not, but we'll just wait, see what happens. Then last Sunday, pretty big game at the Coliseum with the Rams and the Bucks, but big game for opposite sides of USC guys. Robert Woods, the wide receiver for the Rams, did pretty good, and then Ronald Jones kind of exploded really well, the running back for the Bucks, who had a tough first year and has a pretty inconsistent second year so far with the Bucks, just because their offensive line is freaking horrible, and there's no wonder why their quarterback is struggling the way he is, because they've spent no money on the offensive line or drafted really well. And it's evident when it comes to a guy you spent a second round pick in Ronald Jones at USC, and he can't get anything going at times. It's just luckily been able to be somewhat relevant this year, and that's why I think a trade for Melvin Gordon would be good. Bring him back to USC town, where he played very well at the Coliseum, so maybe that'll be good for him playing in LA, and he might have a resurgent in his career playing for the Chargers. That's all I'm saying, Chargers. Gotta take what you can get, and probably get some draft picks with that as well. But yeah, let's continue. So to finish this video off, I'm going to talk about some Chargers news. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, that yes, they have more injury news. So Dontrell Inman, their wide receiver that they signed pretty much right before the season when he got let go by the Patriots, he's been with the team in prior years, so it wasn't that hard of a process to get him involved. And he was doing his part as the 3rd or 4th string wide receiver, and of course now he's on IR. So he won't be able to come back for at least, 5 to 8 weeks, which sucks. So now it seems like they're down to only 3 wide receivers, 2 of them that were basically on the bench or on the practice squad when they didn't even suit up. And of course, from what I've seen, they haven't made any trades or any signings, and I'll get into all that later. But yes, it's very annoying. But they have also signed a kicker, rookie kicker, in Chase McLaughlin out of Illinois. Apparently, Michael Badgley, their main kicker right now in his second year, he did suffer a groin injury before the season, and their punter Long has been doing the freaking kicks, freaking Chargers doing the craziest shizzle ever. But yes, their punter has been their main field goal kicker, and he was pretty solid. He did miss like I think 1 or 2 so far in the season, but they just wanted to get another guy just because Badgley did have a setback, so he will be out for a couple more weeks. And we'll see what this guy has. Hopefully they won't put him in too bad or too tough of situations against Denver this weekend, which should be a win because they are missing a few of their guys on defense, and their offense hasn't been clicking for Denver. But of course the Chargers are going to make it close, as they always end up doing, which sucks. But a little bit of positive news for the Chargers, I guess, is that Keenan Allen is the wide receiver, obviously, for the Chargers, is the top person in receiving yards out of the whole NFL, which is cool. But it also means that there should be more points, you would think, because he's leading the league in receiving, and Austin Eckler, Justin Jackson have been very well rushing the ball also, but they really haven't scored that many points really in a while. So it's kind of weird that you have a leading guy in one category, but you're still not producing enough points, in my opinion. But just have to wait and see how that goes. And then, of course, some more injury news that their tight end, Sean Culkin, he was put on IR as well. And they did sign Lance Kendricks like last week. I think I mentioned that before. Another tight end. I think they promoted another tight end from the practice squad, Steven Anderson, and made some more news, like more moves and stuff. And I did see too that they released the offensive guard Chris Brown out of USC, which sucks. But hopefully he went through waivers and is able to come back and be put on the practice squad, because obviously there's not that many people on the Chargers freaking roster right now. So hopefully get another USC guy back in the NFL after he clears waivers, whenever that is. And PFF shows like a lot of the Chargers defensive people from the last game when they had injuries to Melvin Ingram on that side, and all these guys that stepped up, whether it was defensive end, defensive tackle. Joey Bosa obviously led them the opposite defensive end, but a name that wasn't there was Jerry Tillery, their first round pick, defensive tackle, defensive end, whatever position he is. He had no reps or no playing time, I guess, or no stats at all to report. That's why he didn't make that list. And it's another reason why I've been putting these things together of Chargers making trades for players at that position that can help them. I don't know how it ended up being that a lot of these guys I'm looking at are ex-USC players, but it's also too that they could get a bargain for these guys. I think that some people will jump at a chance to get a first round pick that was Tillery, but I just don't believe the hype or he's going to be able to do anything. But if you throw in a pick also, then it could probably work out. But like I said, I'm working on that, and also with the next subject of the next man up mentality that I've mentioned a couple times in this video, that the at least Chargers offense is going through right now, and pretty much the defense too because of all the injuries. But at some point the luck is going to run out, and if you don't make trades or decide to shoot the bullet or pull the trigger, whatever the heck the saying is, on some of these guys that are free agents or might be available in trades. Stephon Diggs, the wide receiver from Minnesota, is unhappy there. Really like that guy, mainly because he wears the number 14, which is my favorite number, but he is a talented player. But this year he's been having a bad year, but maybe that you might be able to get him for a little bit cheaper than you thought. So I don't know. We'll see if the Chargers make any moves to at least salvage this season instead of playing whoever they have now, and then those guys end up getting injured because they're playing too hard or too much. So thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what y'all think, and have a great rest of your day.
Winston has time, and eventually he's going to go down. It's a sack, and we'll give it to Clay Matthews. 2 timeouts, and the 2-minute warning. Plenty of time, and sideline throw is caught.